Hello, everyone. First, I would like to thank you for your participation in the collaborative feedback exercise implemented within Braun. My name is Sabrina Poirier, Managing Partner with Talentrix Group. In the next few minutes, I will be pleased to provide you with some information which we hope will be useful when you will complete the 360-degree assessment questionnaires that you have been assigned. To quickly put you in context, a competency profile for the management team has been developed to establish the entire management development strategy. In fact, the managerial staff must possess these skills in order to meet the organization challenges and adapt to the new priorities resulting from its strategic objectives. That is to say, support growth in terms of develop business volume in the next 5 years, protect U.S. market, further develop market, but also increase productivity, create value in products, and improve customers' experience. To establish a real picture of the degree of mastery of each of these skills among executives and managers, a series of assessment and feedback exercises will be proposed to participants in the coming weeks. Among these, the first is to solicit feedback from different sources, that is, from immediate supervisors, side-level colleagues, and direct employees. In order to preserve the confidentiality and anonymity of respondents so that the scores of colleagues and subordinates can be viewed separately, it should include a minimum of 5 respondents each. But if it was not the case, we would have complete one or the other of these categories through colleagues from other work teams, internal clients, or outside clients or supplier. Finally, each manager will also have to provide an assessment of his or her behavior at work through a self-assessment. If you are currently listening to this video, it means you have been identified as a respondent for one or more evaluate managers. Thus, you have received an email inviting you to complete one or more 360-degree evaluation questionnaires. By default, English is the language of the questionnaire. However, upon your arrival on the site, you will be able to choose to access the French version of the questionnaire by clicking on the word map icon which appears in the right side of the site navigation bar. Upon your first visit on the site, you will be invited to choose a personal password which will be yours all through the exercise. It is important to note that you don't have to create an account. The latter already exists. Once this choice has been made, you will be directed to a page allowing you to access your task to be carried out and to the status of your collaborative feedback files. Please note your password will allow you to access the site as often as you wish and at times that suit you. You will thus be able to modify or complete any questionnaire assigned to you. Also note you will be able to access the site from any computer linked to an internet connection. When you access the questionnaire, you will first be presented with a short introduction that will remind you of the main points of the collaborative feedback process. Subsequently, you will have a series of rated questions related to specific skills. For the latter, you will also have the opportunity to provide qualitative comments which will be non-mandatory but highly desirable. It is important to note that these comments will not be presented as such to the evaluated manager. However, they will certainly make it possible to reflect on reality and identify behaviors that could be more or less harnessed in the context of work related to the competency profile. This is why we strongly encourage you to share certain specific examples which led you to this evaluation. It is interesting to note that even if you are completing your self-assessment, it is still recommended to provide qualitative comments about yourself. These few minutes of consideration will allow you to initiate the exercise prior to your development plan. Here, I would like to draw your attention to the meaning of each level of the evaluation scale we put forward. In fact, for the questions rated, we ask you to position yourself in relation to the candidate's degree of mastery of the proposed indicators, according to a 5-point scale ranging from an unsatisfactory level to an exceptional level, with an anchor point in the middle that places the person as having a performance that generally meets expectations. So to sum up, exceptional, this person shows excellent and is exceptional in demonstrating these indicators. For instance, a person who would easily have a perfect score in an exam, or who would definitely be in the top 10% of superior people in regards to this aspect. Beyond expectations, this person shows a fully satisfactory performance in regards to expectations and some ability in regards to this indicator. Meets expectations, this person shows a performance answering to a general expectation in regards to this indicator. Some problems, this person sometimes experiences some difficulties in regards to this indicator. And unsatisfactory, this person shows several major shortcomings in regards to this indicator. In closing, we would like to draw your attention to some of the biases that can occur when assessing a person's work behaviors. In fact, despite all the good intentions and judgment of the respondents, several factors can pervert a person's assessment. To avoid these biases and evaluation errors, already to know them and keep them in mind is a good first step to make an adequate evaluation. Thereby, the fact you can base your evaluations on facts and concrete examples will also minimize them even more. But more subtle biases also exist which are important to keep in mind. The most common evaluation error is probably the halo effect. This bias occurs when we tend to generalize all aspects of a person's performance. For example, someone who would be good at effectively communicating ideas orally could be automatically rated as an outstanding leader or excellent project manager and so on. So when you make your assessment, it's important to focus on each behavior indicator while not trying to let yourself be influenced by some other positive or negative behaviors which may influence your judgment of the indicator itself. The next bias slightly resembled the first one we presented to you, but the inadequate weighting information mainly concerns the negative aspects which would influence the general judgment of a person. The mirror effect is the tendency to appreciate more people who resemble us and to which we can identify ourselves. On the other hand, the contrast effect occurs when we tend to evaluate one candidate in regards to the others rather than to the requirements of the job and a competency profile. The central tendency effect is the tendency to assess, in the average, candidates who should be evaluated otherwise for fear of positioning oneself. Since the objective of collaborating feedback is to provide candidates with suggestions for improvement, do not hesitate to use all the anchor points of the evaluation scale presented to you. However, one must also pay attention to the error of extremes that occurs when some assessors have trouble correctly evaluating candidates. They are all very bad or all superstars. Depending on their conception of the ideal manager, some assessors will be very strict while others will be rather lenient. To take into account this bias, it is important to keep in mind the strategic priorities of the organization and the expectations set for a manager at Braun. Finally, be in good disposition when completing your questionnaires. There is indeed an evaluation bias that occurs with the effect of time and practice. In fact, it is the tendency to assess more or less severely at the end of a day or when the evaluators become familiar with the assessment tools. Finally, we would like to point out that this collaborative feedback exercise is aimed at elaborating a skill development plan and not to taking administrative decisions such as awarding performance bonuses or sanctions and so on. The objective of the exercise therefore remains to inform individuals about themselves and to clarify their own image as well as to make them compare this image to that of others. We therefore encourage you to document in qualitative fashion the evaluation of skills that we have identified as important for the success of Braun. We thank you for your collaboration. For any technical questions as to the platform or the questionnaire itself, you are invited to contact me, Sabrina Poirier from Talentrix Group. And for further information on the process or the administrative approach, please contact Wendy Cutterman at Braun.